Welcome back to our story today. I am truly happy to see you here again. Please, find a place where you can be completely still. Maybe it is your favorite chair, or perhaps you are lying down after a long day. Take a deep breath and let the world outside slow down. Imagine we are sitting together once again by our warm, glowing campfire. The wood is seasoned and dry, crackling with a rhythmic, comforting sound. The orange flames reach up into the cold night air, and above us, the sky is a vast, dark ocean filled with 1,000 shimmering stars. Tonight, here at StoryPath English, I want to tell you a story about a man who rose from the very bottom of the world to sit upon its highest throne. It is a story about a boy who was abandoned to die in the freezing cold, yet lived to build the largest contiguous empire in human history. We are going to talk about Genghis Khan. But this is not just a story of wars and horses. It is a story of how one man's life was so powerful that it changed the map of the world, the way we communicate, and even quite literally, the very DNA that flows through our veins today. This is a story of a secret empire, one that shaped the modern world in ways most people never realize. To understand this man, we must travel back to the year 1162, to the harsh, windswept steppes of Mongolia. Imagine a land with no trees, only endless grass, and a sky that feels so big it could swallow you whole. In winter, the wind cuts like a knife. In summer, the sun burns without mercy. In this difficult land, a boy was born. His name was Temujin. Legend says he was born clutching a blood clot in his right hand, a sign, the shaman said, that he was destined to be a great warrior. But his greatness did not come easily. When Temujin was only 9 years old, his life was shattered. His father, a minor chieftain, was poisoned by a rival tribe. In an instant, the family's world collapsed. In the brutal culture of the steppe, strength was everything. Temujin's own clan decided that a widow and her small children were a burden. They turned their backs on them. They took the animals and the tents and rode away, leaving Temujin, his mother Holun, and his siblings to die in the wilderness. Have you ever felt completely abandoned? Have you ever felt the world was against you? For several years, Temujin's family lived like animals. They ate wild roots, mice, and small fish. They slept in the dirt, freezing and starving. It was in this school of suffering that Temujin learned his first and most important lesson: the old ways of the tribes, where family and blood meant everything, were broken. He realized that loyalty should not be based on who your father was, but on who stood by you when you were hungry. This idea would eventually change the world. As he grew, Temujin's life remained a constant struggle. He was once captured by a rival tribe and forced to wear a heavy wooden collar around his neck like a dog. He escaped in the middle of the night, hiding in a river with only his nose above the water. Each time his enemies tried to break him, he only became stronger. He began to gather a small group of followers. But he did something no one had done before. Instead of choosing his leaders from the noble families, he chose them based on their talent and their loyalty. If you were a brave soldier, you could become a general, even if you were the son of a poor herder. This was the birth of meritocracy, the idea that what you times do, times matters more than where you were born. By the year 1206, through a mix of brilliant diplomacy and brutal warfare, Temujin did the impossible. He united all the wandering, warring tribes of Mongolia into one nation. The people gave him a new name, Genghis Khan. It means universal ruler. Imagine the scene at the great meeting, the Times Kurultai. Thousands of white felt tents stretching across the plain, the sound of horse-headed fiddles playing in the wind, and a sea of warriors shouting his name. Genghis Khan looked out at his people and gave them a law. He banned the kidnapping of women, he made it illegal to steal animals, and most importantly, he declared total religious freedom. In his empire, you could be a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, or a shaman, and the law would protect you. This was hundreds of years before the rest of the world even thought such a thing was possible. But Genghis Khan knew that to keep his new nation together, they had to move. They began to expand, and when the Mongol army moved, the world trembled. Have you ever seen a storm rolling across a plain? That was the Mongol cavalry. They were the most advanced military machine the world had ever seen. Every soldier had 3 or 4 horses, allowing them to travel 60 or 70 miles a day, a speed that seemed like magic to their enemies. They could shoot arrows with perfect accuracy while riding at a full gallop. They were a ghost army, appearing out of the dust, attacking and disappearing before the enemy could even react. Genghis Khan was also a master of psychological warfare. If a city surrendered, he protected them. He lowered their taxes and left their temples untouched. But if a city resisted, he destroyed it completely as a warning to the next city. He used fear as a tool to prevent more fighting. It was brutal, yes, but it worked. Soon, the Mongol Empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the gates of Europe. It was the largest land empire in history, 4 times the size of the empire of Alexander the Great. But here is the secret of the empire. Genghis Khan was not just a destroyer. He was a bridge builder. Because one man ruled such a vast area, a period of peace began, known as the times Pax Mongolica. For the first time in history, a person could travel from Italy to China with a golden tablet given by the Khan and be safe. This opened up the Silk Road like never before. Think about the things we use today. Gunpowder, the compass, and the printing press all traveled from the east to the west because of the Mongol peace. Even the concept of paper money and the first international postal system were spread by them. They had a system called the Yam, a network of stations with fresh horses every 20 miles. A message could travel across the entire continent in a matter of days. It was the internet of the 13th century. Genghis Khan had connected the world, bringing the wisdom of the East to the doors of the West. But there is an even deeper secret to this empire, one that scientists only discovered recently. It is written in our biology. You see, Genghis Khan had many children, and his sons and grandsons had many more. Because they were the rulers of a vast continent for hundreds of years, their family grew into a massive tree. In 2003, a team of geneticists did a study and found something shocking. They discovered that roughly 1 inch every 200 men living on Earth today, that is, about 16 million people, carries the exact same Y chromosome. This genetic marker started in Mongolia about 800 years ago. When you look at the map of where this DNA is found, it matches the borders of the Mongol Empire almost perfectly. It is a biological ghost of the empire. It means that the man who started as a hungry boy eating roots in the dirt is now a direct ancestor to millions of people in every corner of the globe. His life didn't just change history, it changed the human race. Genghis Khan died in 1227. True to his humble beginnings, he asked to be buried in a secret place. Legend says that the soldiers who buried him killed anyone they met on the way and then were killed themselves so that no one would ever find his grave. To this day, Despite the use of satellites and modern technology, his tomb has never been found. He returned to the earth of Mongolia as quietly as he had arrived. But he left behind a world that was forever different. Before Genghis Khan, the world was a collection of small, isolated islands of culture. After him, it was a global community. He broke the walls between civilizations. He showed that a person's worth comes from their skill and their loyalty, not their bloodline, even though his own blood would eventually spread across the world. Have you ever wondered what kind of legacy you will leave behind? Most of us will not build empires or change the DNA of millions. But the story of Temujin teaches us that no matter how dark your beginning, no matter how much the world tries to leave you behind, you have a power within you. It is the power of persistence. It is the power to look at a desert and see a garden. It is the power to turn enemies into brothers. As our campfire burns low and the night becomes even more still, let's think about that young boy in the freezing wind of the steppe. He had nothing but a vision and a refusal to give up. He was a man of many shadows, but he was also a man who brought the light of knowledge and trade across the world. History is often written by those who focus on the battles, but at StoryPath English, we look for the heart of the story. The heart of Genghis Khan's story is the transformation of a broken child into a man who redrew the world. He is a reminder that the secret forces of history are often the ones we cannot see, like the movement of ideas along a road or the silent instructions inside a strand of DNA. Thank you for sitting with me tonight by the fire. Thank you for traveling across the ancient grass of Mongolia with me. I hope this story stays with you, reminding you that your past does not define your future. You have the strength to survive your own winters, and you have the potential to build your own empire of kindness, skill, and legacy. The fire is almost out now, and the stars are watching over us in silence. Close your eyes and imagine the sound of 1,000 horses galloping across the plains, and the quiet, steady flow of a river that carries the history of us all. May you find your own path, and may you have the courage to follow it, no matter where it leads. Sleep well, my friends, and I will see you on our next journey down the story path. Good night.